This bad review was made possible in part through the support of backers on Patreon. To support Bad Reviews, visit www.patreon.com/DStecks. Thank you for your support.
You're experiencing memories of your future. You're drawing closer to your regeneration.
You must go. You must find the victor. He is the oldest Time Lord.
The victor is downstairs.
How did your monthly meeting production go in? Yeah. Stumpy, let's go. Have been hired by a government organization called Torchwood to assassinate this alien life form named DStecks. I've been tormenting him the last few months.
Not freaking Cookie Meth, you stupid!
Hey guys, it's DStecks here with another Sonic 2 review. But now he's figured out he's a Time Lord, so we must kill him.
Is the victor here?
The victor is in.
My brain is plastic, sugar-coated magic, twisting and a turning and a burning for you. My brain is plastic, flimsy and it's tragic. You always said that misery was built for two.
Welcome back to Bad Reviews. Today, in recognition of the Scottish independence vote, we're going to be looking at a film that's awfully proud to be Scottish, but the Scots can hardly be proud of. Because it's awful. That was almost a wordplay. Like how Scotland was almost a country. Since this is the first thing I've ever reviewed that isn't heavily episodic, I'm going to be doing things a bit differently. Ripping off Plinkett. Instead of following the plot and doing a kind of sort of riff on it, I'm going to be breaking it down for a deeper analysis. See, the thing is, there's really not much plot to follow. Okay, I think I'm going a bit too fast. Let me take a few steps back for the people who click videos without reading the title. Today I'm going to be talking about a movie called Sir Billi, Billi. It's an independent feature, Scotland's first feature-length computer-animated movie, pretty much like how Fatal Deviation is Ireland's first feature-length martial arts movie. The film stars and was executive produced by Sean Connery. While he isn't very public about it, Sean Connery is a fiercely patriotic Scot, especially when it comes to the Scottish film industry. When Eon wanted to bring him back as James Bond in Diamonds Are Forever, they enticed him back with a massive salary, worth about £23 million after inflation, which he used in its entirety to create a Scottish arts grant program. The deal with Eon was also contingent upon Sean Connery getting to make 2 films of his choosing, one of which was to be an adaptation of Macbeth. The guy eats, breathes, and shits Scotland. However, Sean Connery is also very retired, due to his being very old and very wealthy and very tired of being in shitty movies, so it only made sense that he'd come out of retirement to star in his shittiest movie yet. And he's announced that he's really retired for real this time, so enjoy it, Sean Connery fans. This is his swan song. Choke on it! Seriously, Sir Billi makes League of Extraordinary Gentlemen look like Last Crusade. But perhaps you'd like to know exactly why Sir Billi is so fucking terrible. Well, there's a long list of reasons, so let's start at number 1. Number 1, the story. Sir Billi's story is the most fundamental problem with the film as a whole. You see, Sir Billi had a very long and involved production history, spanning at least 6 years, almost certainly more. It started its life as a short film called Sir Billi the Vet, a short which is not commercially or freely available in any form, and the reason for that is that Sir Billi is Sir Billi the Vet. All the evidence seems to indicate that the film is just an inflated version of the short, and you can tell. Sir Billi feels like a 30-minute short padded out to 80 minutes, because that's what it is. Sir Billi's first act, though, is disarmingly straightforward. It's structured much like you'd expect a first act to be. If anything, some aspects of it are fairly well composed. The first scene establishes the central plot thread of the film. Beavers, which are extinct from Scotland, were going to be reintroduced, but at the last minute the Scottish Parliament pulled the plug. The beavers are all being sent back to Norway, but one of them, a young girl named Bessie Boo, is released in a truck accident and is on the run from the police.
You see, nothing but blooming trouble, these damned animals.
He fell asleep? That's his reaction to an automobile crash. Well, at least thank God he didn't react like James Spader did. So the first scene successfully establishes the central plot of the film, but there's a number of problems. Problem 1. Beavers have been reintroduced to Scotland as of 2008. You can learn more about it at www.scottishbeavers.com, which I swear to God is not a porn site. Now, to cut the film some slack, this probably happened long after the film came. Oh, 2012, okay. But yes, this mistake probably happened due to the film's insanely long production, which again began prior to 2006. So it's just a good thing they didn't go with their original film idea, Sir Sean Connery and There Will Never Be a Black President. Problem 2. This plot is amazingly cliché, even by the standards of kids' films, which are a national designated hack writer preserve. It's the nasty police officers versus the sweet innocent animal. In the first seconds of the film, your brain's already programmed to know who to root for, disregarding any moral context. This brings us to problem 3. Problem 3, the film explicitly vilifies the police. This might not be the coolest thing to say at the moment, but I find it deeply weird and questionable that a film for small children depicts the police as evil. I mean, lots of shows for kids depict the police as incompetent or unhelpful or misguided, but in those cases they're usually those things because they're adults. In Sir Billi, the police officer is explicitly evil because his job is to catch Bessie. I'm not saying this because I'm some authoritarian fuck, it's just that kids shows usually tell kids that they can trust the police, because sometimes kids get into situations where there isn't anyone else they should trust. It's a solid practical lesson, assuming you're white, and this film just disregards it. This isn't a massive criticism, just something that sits wrong with me. Also, the film casually makes the Scottish Parliament into bad guys as well, which makes it hilarious that the makers of this film got pissy when the Scottish Parliament used Pixar's Brave in its tourism ads instead of Sir Billi, in addition to the 347 other reasons not to use Sir Billi in a tourism ad. Come to Scotland, home of the man duck.
How do these people get visas?
Scotland, we wish you wouldn't visit. Problem 3. The villain's motivation is extremely contradictory. First, he establishes that he doesn't want beavers in the Highlands because they'll ruin his fishing.
My fishing would have been out the window. Imagine they'd been let loose in the Highlands.
Which is a legitimate concern. When beavers live in human-inhabited areas, they're a pest animal that need to be controlled. But the writers do seem to realize that this means the villain's motivation is to protect the Highlands from a potentially invasive species. It's been 400 years since the beavers were extinct in Scotland, which means it's possible that the predators which kept their populations in check have died out, so reintroducing them could cause an uncontrolled population explosion, which is exactly what's happening right now with deer in North America. I'm sure the people at ScottishBeavers.com know what they're doing, but the officer's concern is legitimate. So to offset this, he spends the rest of the film shit-talking the Highlands, because he's a bad guy and moral ambiguity will give children aneurysms.
Finally, get out of these horrible Highlands. Why are all these people so nice? Crap place to live.
Actually, no, there's no moral ambiguity. The officer's completely in the right, since the Scottish Parliament of the movie put the brakes on reintroduction.
Thank goodness our Scottish Parliament squashed the reintroduction of those smelly things, huh?
But Sir Billi's in the right to go against the decision of the elected Parliament of Scotland and its police force, because look at the cute beaver! Look at the cute beaver!
Look at the cute beaver!
I don't get it. If he doesn't like yogurt, why did he buy so much fucking yogurt? So we've got our plot, and then we get a 5-year time skip, during which illegal beavers. I'm sorry. A 5-year time skip, during which Bessie doesn't age a day, despite 5 years representing about a quarter of her life expectancy. Yeah, I did a lot of research on beavers while making this review. I also looked up information about Castor Feebear. Thank you, don't forget about the 2-drink minimum. Then we get introduced to the characters. The shitty characters. But they'll get their own section, so I'm not going to go very deep here. Pretty much none of them do anything anyway, so really, I'm doing you a favor. We're finally introduced to Sir Billi himself, and man, does Sean Connery sound old.
Good girl. It's been a long time since I've been in a jacuzzi.
He has a pet goat, Gordy, who thinks he's a dog for reasons which are never explained, and he has green horns for reasons which are never explained, and he wears the Kill Bill jumpsuit for reasons which are never explained. Billi and Gordy go to a castle to pick up his grandson Jake for school. The kid contributes nothing to the plot and is an insufferable brat who plagiarizes better British cartoons. He's supposed to go to school, but Billi decides to drag him along on his adventure. He helps out by staying in the car.
Jake, this could be dangerous. You head back and wait for us in the car.
Good thing he's missing school for this. He's really helping out. The first act wraps up with one of those archetypal kids movie scenes, one that feels like you've seen it a million times but can't name any specific things it's in. Bessie's been adopted by a family of rabbits, and has a prick brother who is a cartoonish bully and the single worst character in the whole film, which is a fucking accomplishment.
This is a magical place, even for a beaver butt like you. Girlies only gets a ride on Saturday mornings.
The forest animals have some bizarre scrap bobsled water ski sport, and Bessie really doesn't want to do it, to the point of nearly crying.
I mean, do I have to do it today? Do I?
No, that's enough, Bessie. This is one of the oldest sports in the Highlands, and your Uncle Red, being a past champion, has pulled a lot of strings to get you on today, my lady.
Well, why did you have him go to the effort if she doesn't even want to do it, asshole? I doubt I even need to tell you what happens, but Bessie, surprise, surprise, is really good at the sport thing, which makes Prick Bunny jealous, so he does some reckless shit and gets himself plunged off a cliff. Bessie shows up to scream. With no other option, Bessie decides the best thing she can do is jump like 100 fucking feet into the river to rescue him.
So I'm gonna have to jump.
And with that, the first act is over. Now from here, you can probably imagine how the rest of the film goes, right? Billy rescues Bessie, which is how they meet, and from there the cop gets on the trail and we get more hijinks from there. Well, no, saving Bessie from the river is the entire rest of the film. I am not kidding. Remember what I said about the movie being a 30-minute short padded to feature length? Well, that's exactly what this feels like, an episode of a shitty kids show pumped full of shit until it becomes a feature-length shit pile. It's a little bit like what Disney used to do with some of its sequels. A few of them were stitched together from TV shows that never aired. The Cinderella sequel was stitched together from 3 episodes of an unaired Cinderella TV show, the Atlantis sequel was stitched together from 3 episodes of an unaired Atlantis TV show, and the Tarzan sequel was stitched together from 3 episodes of a TV show that actually did air. You have no idea how ripped off 12-year-old me felt when I realized that the Tarzan sequel was 3 episodes of a series I'd already seen for free on television. And the Atlantis sequel was a letdown too. There wasn't any fan service at all. Kida was wearing more clothes. It was bullshit. Problem number 2, the characters. Lots of shitty movies have characters that suck and are irritating, but Sir Billi is one of the few films I've seen where this does not feel like a mistake. This was a deliberate decision. I mean, I don't think they intended for 90% of the cast to be utterly loathsome. It's just that every time they developed a new character, they chose irritating and unlikable character traits, apparently for the purposes of comedy. Now, it's not that you can't have a comedy populated entirely by awful people. Anchorman is a fantastic example of this working. The difference is that the awfulness of the characters in Anchorman is the joke. It's the whole point of the movie. Sir Billi's cast is fundamentally unlikable, and most importantly, they're not fucking funny. Sir Billi is pretty much the only character without massive, unforgivable flaws. This is probably because he's played as the straight man to the rest of the cast. The problem is that Sir Billi is a tremendously boring character. He's old, and nice, and grandfatherly, but he's just not interesting to watch. Sean Connery turns in a completely uninspired performance with none of the trademark hamminess of his later career. It's a comfortable role for him, but he's just not having any fun. He lacks any kind of zest, which brings me to the next issue. One of the first things you notice about Sean Connery's performance is that Sean Connery is old as shit.
It was only the other day. I was out having a little walk, not far from here. And I got to thinking about when I was just a boy. Everything used to be rare, you know?
Just so old, you get really sad because you realize he's probably going to die soon. And even sadder when you realize that this will be his legacy. Did you know that Sean Connery turned down the role of Gandalf? He was the first choice for that role. That could have been his legacy. Instead, he's a skateboarding grandpa trying to get some beaver. Actually, shit, Sean Connery's Gandalf would probably have been fucking awful. Another weird thing is that, for this being a movie clearly aimed at tiny children, Sir Billi swears an awful lot.
Bunny, what the devil do you think you're doing? Listen to me. I've had one hell of a morning.
Your best. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
So, the Victor. The Talon told me that you could tell me more about who I am.
Well, you are a Time Lord.
What's a Time Lord?
Well, they're like a species of human, but they're cooler and they can change their appearance.
Well, that's pretty great. Is there anything more I should know?
Well, they're from a planet called Gallifrey.
Okay.
And Gallifrey was destroyed when Daleks, another alien, attacked.
That's not good.
So you and the Doctor are the only ones alive.
Oh, and you presumably, and also the Talon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and the Doctor are the only good ones alive.
What, you're evil?
No.
Okay, good.
You're the only one that's really awesome.
Oh, great, thanks. That's really nice of you.
Yeah, and so you got through a lot of pain today.
Yeah, today sucked.
And so when Time Lords go through a lot of pain, they regenerate, which means they change their appearance.
What's regenerate? What's gonna happen to me?
Change their appearance.
What do you mean? Become a different person?
Different appearance, different personalities. different memories.
Different memories? So you're saying, like, after I regenerate, I'm gonna forget everything?
Yes.
Well then, how do I complete my regeneration?
You have